morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wow, how weird was yesterday not going live at 8 a.m. every single morning. Yeah, I did luckily get some other things done yesterday, but yeah, it was still very weird. So thank you very much for being back this morning. Today we talk about, is it worth it to build an email list? And there's sort of two aspects to email lists that I want to talk about. And we're going to talk about, is email even still effective? And then also, if you do want to build an email list, where do you start? So those are the three things that I'm going to be touching on today. And I hope it's going to bring you value. This is going to be about a half an hour show. And because we've got the estate planning refresher happening at 9 o'clock. So really happy with that. It's the most bookings we've had for any of our refreshers to date. So thank you very much for that. I deeply appreciate it. There's even one coming through at 6:30 this morning, slipped in there. So very happy about that. So thank you very much for joining us. And I look forward. It's going to be a jam-packed session, really crammed a lot of stuff in there. I hope I'm not cramming too much in there, but I think it's all the important stuff. And it's really a refresher. So I'm not going to try and teach you new and weird and wonderful things and all of that. I'll do that in a separate session, where we sort of take it to the next level. The refresher for me is really getting not just the basics, but really the fundamentals of estate planning and everything that works with that, into place. And we're going to look at some cool strategies and things that one could consider when doing that for clients. But anyway, you'll note and you'll post it. So this is the Avengers, all of them. It's a bit of a cartoony one. So I really love it. I think everybody's on there. So obviously all the Avengers are on there. So I wonder if you can name them all. We must maybe have a little bit of a little fun competition like that at some stage and say, oh, name the Avengers without Googling or asking your son or your daughter. Let's see where we can go. I was also considering doing some form of like, what are the lessons that we can learn from the Avengers and maybe from something like Game of Thrones and, these really well-known let's say stories or comics or series and movies and those kind of things that I've been following. I think there's some interesting things that we can learn from that. And sometimes we just sit back and watch these movies and we don't really take in what is happening. Anyhow, so let me say a quick good morning to everybody here in the comments. First in this morning is Terence. Good morning, Terence. This topic is so important. Looking forward to your insights. Thank you very much for that. It was quite a decision again to get to a topic. Kobus also says the email plays an important role with your holistic online client communication and both with direct individual client communication and with your client distribution BCC list. Cool stuff. Thank you, Kobus. Ian, good morning all. Love it or hate it. The correct treatment and use of email is so important. I like where this is going, guys. Thank you so much. I really love it. So awesome for that. Thank you very much. Good morning, Malcolm and Denise. Good morning, guys. Rizan, good morning. Yes, this is sort of, I love the picture there, Rizan. Wow, profile me. That looks very, very cool. I must maybe, that's very cool. Okay, so Tina's good morning. Kan nie daar sonder nie, maar dalk beter bestuur en gebruik. Fantastic. Let's talk about that. Chad, good morning. Neil Strydom, Arun. Albert, good morning. Albert, nice to see you again. Kevin, good morning, Kevin. Salome, goeiemôre, Salome. Johan Vosloo, môre. I would be keen to hear some of your insights because I know you are not a big fan of certain emails, but more maybe the program. So that's something that we can maybe talk about. I think we should discuss you becoming a guest, but let's talk about email then. Anyway, so Ravi, good morning. Very nice to have you here. Chris, Rue, Francis, good morning. Stephen, Neil Phillips, Stefani, wow, Stefani, I've seen you a lot on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for being here this morning. It's great to have you with us. Elmin Lotren, good morning. Kuvendra, good morning. And then with Chart says, sometimes it is advisable to write today's email tomorrow. That's a powerful statement. So yes, never write an email or post anything to social media in anger or when you feel some form of emotions taking over. But anyway, so I obviously need to announce two amazing guests that's going to be coming up. So this week, Friday, so this will be, the 12th, I think, the 12th of June, which is this Friday at 3 p.m. Remember, on Fridays, we're going to go live in the afternoon and not in the morning anymore. We'll see how that works. I think it's going to be great to end the week on that. And when I have guests, I will primarily have them on a Friday afternoon to make it interesting and, just to give a lot of value and just to end the week on a nice note. Maybe you had a hard week. Maybe you just had a busy week. Maybe you are facing some challenges that you just can't overcome. So that's what I want to do on a Friday afternoon. Let's get through and enjoy the weekend then that's ahead. And so we can then make it a virtual braai with Frans, or probably something like that. But anyway, so my guest for Friday is none other than Mr. Bruce Cameron. So, very, very excited to have Bruce on the show. I had a chat with him, last week, and quite a number of interactions via LinkedIn. And he was gracious enough to say, yes, absolutely, he'll love. And you would have seen him on the show as well. And that is sort of, I thought like, well, if I see him here, then let me ask. If you don't ask, you never receive. And what Mr. Cameron said, yes. So this Friday, that's going to be a very, very good one. We're going to be talking about the retirement landscape in South Africa and, more than that. It's always hard to, when you talk to somebody like Bruce, to really, bring it down to one topic. So obviously, there's a whole career that we can talk about, but also then specifically, he's been writing a whole series of articles for the Daily Maverick that's been coming out. So looking forward to having a chat to him. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to have Brandon Garbett from Capital Legacy with me. We're going to talk about legacy lessons and a few announcements that we want to make around that. But also then just, talk a little bit about everything that they do. And also, because they've been doing a lot of hard work, during this time. They've really been trying to have an impact and an influence on how we can get wills signed during this time. And really, they've come up with some interesting solutions. But nonetheless, I'll get into that. The main reason why Brandon is here is so we can announce some things and talk about what it is. So that'll be next week, Tuesday at 8 a.m. That's Brandon. And then on Friday, we've got Bruce Cameron. Alrighty, good stuff. So let's get into it because we're already almost 8 minutes into this whole thing. I hope you've got your coffee or your tea or your water or your protein shake or some smoothie, whatever you've got. Enjoy. This is going to be quick. And I'm really going to focus on the most important stuff as far as this is concerned. And again, guys, I'm not going to share stuff on the show that I haven't been doing myself. I'm not going to talk about things that I theoretically know something about, but I've never tried. So I really want to bring the things that I've learned from my experiences. So even if we're going to talk about whether email is still effective, I'm going to give you some examples from my own experience and from things that's happened, in the way that I've been using email. And, what I've learned from that. So all of that will come from there. If ever there is a topic that is maybe new and I don't know anything about, I will tell you. But I really want to bring stuff to you that I see as being valuable. And, and then I'll get your feedback on it and see, do we need to go deeper into it and talk more about it? Do you want to know more? Is there some other things that's maybe coming to the top of your head and saying, oh, that will also be interesting? Then let me know. I really need to build my list of topics and ideas, so I need your help with that. Alrighty, so please, just before we get going, please remember to subscribe and connect with us, with me. But please, on LinkedIn, and please subscribe to the channel. We haven't really moved subscribers in the last few days. So please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so. If you're watching the recording, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And then give us some love, share, tell others about it, guys. There's so many guys and ladies from the show that will ask me, is it okay if I share it with somebody else? I said, please share it. Don't be shy. And then interact with one another. As you know, I see that's going well, so I don't have to belabor that point. All right, so let's get into it. What is an email list really? For me, an email list is really twofold. If you really think about it, and it comes down to it, it's twofold. How is it twofold? Well, there's sort of, and maybe it can even be threefold, but let's just talk about from a client perspective. It's really twofold. There's your existing clients, and you need an email list for that so that you can communicate with them. And then there's this, prospective clients or your community or people that you do work with. Because remember, not everybody that you communicate with is going to become clients of yours, but they may refer someone onto you. It's amazing. Sometimes people will be out of loyalty with the advisor that they are with because they haven't given them a reason to move. But when somebody asks for a referral, they may often refer them to someone else, which is quite interesting. And, if you can communicate and educate and do that, and also, the day the opportunity presents itself, they may very well move to you. So there's these two lists that you need to sort of look after and really build in a sense, because even your existing clients, it's not as simple as just, there's my list of existing clients. It's still a list that you must build and maintain. But, it's very important. And there's sort of two main reasons why you would want an email list. And it's, again, twofold. So apart from being able to communicate your existing and prospective clients, and also depend on, by the way, where you are in your practice. Somebody that's been around for a long time, they're happy with the practice. They may primarily use this to communicate with their existing clients, and they're not interested in building a list further on. But again, if you have plans to build your business and bring more advisors into your business, it may be a very good idea to build an email list so that there's always a way that you can cultivate new business and new relationships rather from that. So I think it's still important. But the other two things that we then use this email list for is primarily, on the one hand, newsletters, which means it's informative and that, letting people know what's happening in your business, what's coming up, sort of changes you're making, all that good stuff. And then on the other hand, it's marketing. And it's not the same thing. A newsletter isn't marketing. A newsletter is exactly what it is. It is a letter about news that you need to share with your clients or with your prospective clients. So very important, okay, because newsletters it does form part of marketing, but it's usually not marketing in itself. You'll hear that a lot of people will advise you that don't do a newsletter that's selling and trying to promote something. It's more there to inform and to sort of build a relationship and stay top of mind. Marketing, on the other hand, is really setting out to move people and ultimately into a position where they either want to ask for advice, or they want to implement something, or there's really a transaction maybe at the end of that. So it'll lead to a sales, sort of going into that sales process. And whatever that may be for you, whether that is doing lifestyle financial planning, whether it's giving product advice, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is that you offer. But marketing will often then lead into the sales process. In other words, converting people into clients and really starting to build that relationship. The main thing about an email list, though, is that it is meant for bulk communication. But if you really want to do it well, you shouldn't be doing just bulk communication, sending the same email to everybody. It should really be targeted bulk email communication, and it must be very well targeted. So when you build your list, those kind of things needs to stay top of mind. And I'll talk about that in a second. But it's important that, if you build that email list, that you're able to say, this is relevant to these clients, and that we can send it to them. And I'll tell you, but because one of the questions may be, but how do I then do that if I want to build if I'm building a list with people I don't know? If it's existing clients, I know they've got a medical aid with me. I know we do investment planning for them. I know we do retirement planning for them. I know they've got children. I know all these things, so we can really target that. But if I just have somebody that signs up to my list, how do I know? Okay, so I'm gonna get into that part. So very important that we have that. So twofold. One is to communicate with existing clients, two with prospective clients, and then that is twofold: newsletters and marketing. And then really to do bulk communication. And also, it's also about being able to track the traction that you get. How many opens do you get? What do they click on? What is getting results? What is not getting results? So all of that stuff is important, which has got nothing to do with your email list, but rather with tracking. And that's also, you want to use this instead of sending a lot of emails from Outlook or Gmail or something like that. Cool stuff. Excuse me, I'm very sorry. Alrighty, so is email even still effective, Francois? What a question. I asked myself that question a couple of weeks ago. And simply because, I can see during this time, the amount of emails I've been getting has been absolutely crazy. Now, we did an episode. I can't remember the number now offhand. I think it was somewhere in the 30s, 34, roundabout there, on taking control back of your email inbox. And, since that, I have taken control of my inbox. I've done all the stuff that I've shared with you in that session. It's working pretty well for me. I'm looking at like all these newsletters and things that were clogging up my my email inbox. I've split them between important newsletters and not so important newsletters, or just normal newsletters. And if I look at the amount of things that's going there, and then now it's keeping my inbox open, where I can just move the things that I need to look at immediately and things that I need to look at soon. That has just been phenomenal. I've implemented the quick step stuff into Outlook so that I can just either press a shortcut or just click on a button, and it will do all the steps for me that I want to happen to that message. So that stuff has really made my life so much easier. That anxiety of that I need to do some stuff is off, And unfortunately, it is a sense of priority, So certain things I answer immediately, and some of them, I take a bit of time, sometimes more than a week to get back to people. But it is unfortunately one of those things because it's been killing me. So that's important. But anyway, that's not the point. So is email still effective? Well, let me share this with you. In all of my refreshers that I've done since, April, May, and now in June, half of my bookings came from my email that went out. Yesterday alone, I got 10 bookings from sending out that email reminder yesterday morning. 10 from that one email. And so yes, it's absolutely effective, but there are certain things that one must consider when you put together these emails. That just shows me, and it's even the same when I do webinars or free training or whatever it is that we're doing. When we send it out, about half the clicks, half the registrations comes directly from that email. And so it's definitely still effective, and people are still using it in that way. Anyway, so what does make an email effective? Because not email are equal, and not email are effective by no means. So from that is, first of all, you've got to plan it well. So if you don't plan your email well that you're going to send exactly, you need to be so clear on what it is that you want to say. And I get feedback from people receiving my email saying, this is too long, that is to this, that is to that. Just put this at the top because for me, I just want to get to the bottom line. I don't need to read everything. So over time, you start learning how to put together these emails. And it's still on the list where I want to talk about how do you go about to create these marketing emails or email newsletters, etc. But it's like, how do you plan them? How do you put them together? And once you know exactly what it is that you want out of this email, exactly how you're going to send it, if it's going to be long, if it's going to be short and punchy, whatever is necessary to get that message across, and then how you structure it, then it must be written well. So don't go on and on and on and on about stuff, just short and to the point. People scan things. So there's a few tips and tricks that one could use to make emails easier to read, actually. And I've been experimenting with that over the last few months, and it seems to be working well. So, I'll talk about that in a future episode. But it must be planned well, and then it must be written well. And then the other thing about an email is it must deliver high value every single time. So specifically if it's a newsletter, so many people, there's been several, if I say several. So about I think, I can't remember now, I must go check, but it's less than 8 people that has unsubscribed from my email list during this crisis. I don't know what the reason is. It doesn't matter. If they no longer find value in it, then it's great. I don't want to be communicating with people who are not receiving value, and I'm fine with that. And often, if I look at what I've done, I have unsubscribed from so many newsletters that I've been subscribed to for so long, just simply because I need to take back control of my inbox. And you sit here and read newsletters all day, you're not really getting to do the work that you should be doing. So with that in mind, if you think about how I thought about it, then you also need to think about how is your client going to think about this, and how are you thinking about this? When do you sign up to an email newsletter, and when do you stay subscribed? And even more important, when do you still read the emails that are coming through? So you've got to put yourself in that position to really understand and sort of get into that psyche of how we think about this. And then we've got to make sure that our emails are really in line with that. Then our email becomes effective. Just something that I maybe need to mention here is that just remember that email is not everybody's first choice for communication. So it's very important that we know and understand their preferences. So some people would just, that on a form they ask you, how do you want us to contact you? Why SMS, email, WhatsApp, what? And I don't know, often you tick SMS, but then you still get the emails and you still get all these things. If we really know and understand how people prefer to communicate, and we can focus on that, and we really segment our lists like that, then it's easy. And again, here your CRM is so important, because when that information is correct on the CRM, you maintain it from one place, because then to update all the other lists and things are very, very easy from that point of view. So important to be able to do that. And then another thing that since I started building my list in 2015, 2016, I don't put anybody onto my list unless I have their permission. So either they sign up themselves, or they ask me on a form to actually add them, or they will send me a message, please add me to your email list, or they sign up on my website, etc. So you must have permission. If you don't have permission, then don't add him to your email list. That's not going to work. It's just like that's going to then get you spam. You've got to get in trouble with your email provider from that point of view, and there may be other things that you are opening yourself up to, which is not necessary. All right, so where do I start if I want to build an email list? Well, the first place that I would start is obviously my existing clients. And why? Because it's easy. I have their information, number one. Number two is I know what they have, and it'll become easier for me to segment or tag them, because most of the email providers talk about, or the bulk email providers talk about segmentation and tagging and lists and all these kind of things. And we did speak about that, I think, in the email marketing episode we had. That was episode 8, if I remember correctly. And there were other ones that we spoke about it as well. But important from that you are able from the beginning to tag people for what would be relevant to them. So for instance, if you have a client that you do investment planning for, and that has a medical aid with you, for example, you would maybe tag them for investments and for healthcare, so that whenever there's something relevant, and then you can also have a general one. So if you want to send it out to, just a general email to all your clients, because that will happen where you need to send an email that will just be applicable to everybody. Now, you don't necessarily need a tag for that, because you can just say everybody in my list needs to get this email. But the tagging is so important. And once you do that from the start, it becomes so much easier. Even on your onboarding form, if you've got a new client and you're asking them to sign up, would you want to be part of our email newsletter? Yes. What are you interested in? And let them tick the different topics that you can send things on, so that you can load them onto the system correctly. So that is important. So that's from my existing client point of view. And I would actually have a separate list. I would have 2 separate lists. So one for my existing clients, because they're already clients, and then one for my prospective clients, because I won't be sending, if I'm going to do marketing with prospective clients, I don't necessarily always just want to do marketing or do the same marketing with my clients. So you need to distinguish between the two. And for me, the best way to do that is either to have 2 separate lists or to segment them. But for me, just in that sense, there needs to be a hard line. So to do 2 different lists from that point of view. But some of the things, if you want to start building your prospective client list, in other words, you want to connect with people that you don't know yet, you want to start building a relationship, you want to add value, you want to market to them at the end of the day, then what you start with is creating a landing page, for example, that you send people to. There's something valuable there on that landing page. Often landing pages could be like, listen, we do this fantastic information email or newsletter, or sort of advice, whatever it is you want to call it. Or not advice, you can't give advice like that, but just tips and tricks, for example. So you can do those kind of things, and then just try and convince people that way to sign up for the newsletter. The other way to do it, which I think is a lot better, is if you have specific types of clients in mind, because again, you need to know who your ideal client is. You don't just want like 50,000 people to sign up to your newsletter. I mean, that might sound impressive and awesome, but you really want that targeted client. So you've got to be clear again on your ideal client. Who is it that you would like to work with? Maybe you're already working with them. Maybe you want to move your practice there, but you've got to be very clear on who that person is. So let's say, for instance, you want to attract, I'm just going to take a very, very rudimentary and simple example. So let's just say that you want to, you look at what they do for leisure. Okay, so you like people that play golf because you play golf. You like people that do miniature figure painting, and you like people that do gardening, because there's a lot of things that you can add in terms of that is not even financial planning related, but because you're also interested in those things, you found that you work nice with them. Very simple example. So what you could do is then have a landing page specifically aimed at golfers. And then on there is what you call a lead magnet. So just a little PDF or ebook or checklist or something that they can download that is related to that. So let's just say here's a checklist if you want to buy new clubs, for example, or when you're battling, have you considered the different aspects of the golf balls that you use, and here's a checklist of things like that. So something that will be valuable to them and that they will be interested in, because then you know that everybody that downloads that, I mean, people who don't play golf and who love gardening is not going to sign up to that newsletter. So if you then do it that way, you can just in the way that the system works in the back end is that you can tag them already as golfers, and then it's already segmented from the time that they sign on. The same if you have something about gardening, the same if you have something about miniature figure painting, you can be very, very targeted. So you can have something for doctors, you can have something for accountants, you can have something for, business owners, anything like that, because you know that the person who's interested in that kind of lead magnet, that is where they are, that's what they do. And then you know that you can have very targeted communications to them, because to the business owner, you will only talk about things related to business. With the other person, that is maybe a doctor, you will only interesting things that are applicable to doctors. So now you're not sending all of the same emails to all of the same people. And that is what makes it very, very effective. And it doesn't mean that you need to communicate with them every single week. You can do that every single month. And also you can maybe decide if you've got 2 or 3 different segments, you can have one a week that you approach. So one email to this group this week, next week we send another email to another group, or things like that. But marketing, it takes effort. It's not going to happen by itself. And also, I still fully believe this, that you have to write your own stuff. You can have somebody else check it and edit it, but you have to write your own things and stories from your own practice and stories from your own experience. Using some generic thing, it's good, okay, but if 500 of you are sending out the same things and posting the same things on social media, I don't know whether that is so effective. At some point, somebody's going to notice, but it's the same stuff all over and over. So for me, it's like, if you want to be authentic, then you need to write your own stuff, even if they are shorter in nature. And the more you do it, you'll see the easier it becomes. I can remember my very first article that I wrote took me quite a few hours. Now I can write a 600 to 1,000 word article in under an hour. It's simple, and if you do that once a month, I mean, really, what is an hour or 2 hours even a month to spend on your marketing and really get some interesting information out there? So I really want to encourage you to write your own stuff. Then the other way that you can also build your list is obviously to have a form on your website or a pop-up on your website. But one thing that you need to look out for is that I hate it when I go onto a website that I've never been to before. So obviously the website will pick up that there hasn't been a cookie about the website that I visited the website before. And it will then immediately, as I just start scrolling, it pops up. Please subscribe to it. I don't even know you. I don't know if this is the place where I want to be. I don't know if you're going to provide me with value. Are you somebody that I want to connect with? I don't know that. So don't let these pop-ups pop up when somebody lands on your page. Wait, put it at the end of an article, because if somebody scrolled all the way down or they read the whole article, they are much more likely to then subscribe. They say, well, this was interesting. Yes, let me consider subscribing. But if this thing pops up in my face even before I've done, I've even read 2 words, then no, that's like you get irritated and you leave the website. So there's got to be a strategy and a plan behind that as well. And then also another big way that you can get people, and I don't use that often, I never use it actually, but it is something that I've been thinking about, I just forget to use it, is to do a lot of calls to action. In other words, I've got to ask people, please subscribe to my newsletter, and then have a simple link that they can go to go and do that. So, you can use that if you've got a podcast in your podcast. If you're doing videos, you can do it in your videos. You can put it in at the end of your articles. Please consider subscribing. If you don't want to use pop-ups and that, you want to be more discreet. Just say, we do a lot of articles like this. If you want to be informed of new articles, please consider signing up to our email list or our mailing list or whatever you want to call it. And, that way, you can also do it at events. I do that a lot. That's how I actually mainly grew my email list, was at training events. So when they fill in the forms to give feedback, there's a question saying, would you like to, because they got time to experience and see what I'm about and how I do things. And then, that's been highly successful. So ask people when you're at an event that you're hosting, your event, ask them if they will consider signing up, or if you're doing webinars or anything like that, just ask. Sometimes people, it's like we're asking, please subscribe to this channel. That'll be quite cool. My email provider of choice, I am using both MailChimp and ConvertKit. MailChimp is free at the moment. ConvertKit I'm paying for, but all my stuff is coming from ConvertKit. So if you're interested in that, I've got an affiliate link that you can use as well. So you can just go to francoisdetour.co.za. These are not links that you'll find on my website. You can't see it. You have to type it in to get to it. So francoisdetour.co.za/ConvertKit. By far the easiest and best software that I've used to date, although it's costing me every month because I use it so much, it's worth it for me. And it's just so much better. And then, but they also now allow you to have up to 1,000 subscribers for free on ConvertKit. So you can test it out first. You don't have to buy it from day one like I had to. They've changed that. So please go and check that out, and then shout if you need any help. I will do a future episode on that specifically as well. So let me see quickly. Good morning, Yaku and Khatsiandi. Innocent morning, very topical. I've been wondered about the importance of building a list for newsletters. Yes, and the thing is, tomorrow, for some reason, people leave Facebook, which has been happening. So people will leave, although they are still by far the largest social network in the world. People are leaving Facebook, and then at some stage, or something happens, or some law is changed, and they have to close down. And then you lose all those followers and all those links and everything that you've built. But your email list, you will always have control over. That's why I say, having a website, having an email list, in addition to your social media channels and your pages and profiles and all that kind of stuff is very, very important. So one cannot discount the value of that. Good morning, Raymond. Slanganani. Kobus says he did a client survey over the last 2 weeks on communication. 85% of clients still prefer emails for sure. That's amazing. Well, thanks for sharing that, Kobus. Must be informative and to the point with good content with least marketing. And you can use this so well with your WhatsApp list, create awareness that there is an email that went out, and then you can expand on that email. That's a discussion that Kobus and I had a few months ago around that, and how you use the different platforms and what you want to do. You don't want to replicate your email in your WhatsApp. So important. Good morning, Frans Hatting. I don't know if it's Stephanie or Stephanie, I'm sorry, but when I started my business, I also subscribed to everything. It's ridiculous the amount of crap that actually lands in your inbox while you're not watching. Yes, absolutely. And, you think that it's going to be valuable, and then at the end of the day, it is not so much. Kobus goes, WhatsApp has grown tremendously for short messages, and therefore clients now want a hybrid customized communication system. Absolutely. Having an email list, Xplan and MailChimp becomes difficult to control in my experience. Neil, talk to me so we can figure that one out, because it shouldn't be that difficult, but you should have one email list. So in the sense of if what I was talking about the CRM is if the base information is correct and you tag or categorize them correctly, when you export that, it becomes so much easier to update everything else. And you can, if you make sure that your MailChimp sort of setup is aligned to your Xplan setup, when you start exporting clients, you get that information. When you import it, it's very easy to update those things and to do that. So yeah, absolutely. So Stephanie says she used MailerLite. I've been looking at MailerLite this weekend actually, and she says she finds them so much easier to navigate. So MailerLite, I think they start at $9 a month or something. So there is an expense there. But definitely MailerLite, MailChimp, and ConvertKit are three of them that are really awesome. Russell says, so true, there's a mass load of content being put out there for clients, but they're all generic. Authenticity has been lost. It's gone back to copy and paste articles by many. Yes. People want to be told what to do, something I've learned very early on. Yeah, they want to know the how to. So that's definitely so. I have a subscribe section. So great stuff. Here's an interesting one. Kuketsu says we use Touchbase, which also works quite well. I'll go check that out. Thank you, Kuketsu. I haven't seen that before. And then, Kuvendra says timing when to email is important. So, I mean, I think there could be a few aspects to that statement, Kuvendra. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. But from my point of view, timing when to email could be like you don't want to be emailing 12 o'clock at night. You don't want to be emailing on a Sunday. maybe things like that. I don't know, depending on, and also now you start building a list and people are of different beliefs and different cultures and different things, so what is okay for one is not okay for another. So yes, it does become very, very important from that point of view. Okay, cool. So Stephanie says, MailerLite is free up to 1,000 subscribers. Yes, thank you very much. Alrighty, cool stuff, guys. That's me for today. I hope you got a lot of value from this. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back on Friday with Bruce Cameron. I can't wait for that one. So please remember to come and join us. I'm off to the estate planning refresher. For those of you that booked, I'll see you there. Otherwise, the rest of you I'll see on Friday. Thank you very much and have a blessed day. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much.